Decle here. Hopefully you can hear me. I hope you're all keeping well. I thought I might talk a bit about TV Powww today and show you a little something that I've put together especially for the Expo. I hope you'll forgive me, but I've pre-recorded most of my talk. As you'll see, it has quite a few bits and pieces in it. However, like Tim, this does mean that I can answer any questions in the chat as we go. So feel free to pitch in. Okay, so with all that said, and hopefully with the technology willing, let's set the Wayback Machine to 1980. Powww, powww, powww. Powww, powww, powww. Powww, powww, powww.
TV Powww was the first interactive show based around video games. It was developed by a TV producer from Florida named Marvin Kempner. Contestants called in to play games broadcast live by their cable company, shouting "Powww" into the phone to control the game and win prizes. According to Marvin's autobiography, he didn't come up with the core idea for the show. It was pitched to him as a half-hour program by two unnamed people in the spring of 1977. But Marvin saw greater potential in recasting the program as an insert within a larger show. The original version of TV Powww was based around the Channel F console that Fairchild launched in 1976. Marvin approached Fairchild in the fall of 1977, and the idea was developed through late 1977 and into the spring of 1978. Fairchild did all the development work to adapt both the Channel F consoles and games, and then supplied both the hardware and software to Kempner as a complete package. TV Powww debuted on KABC TV in March of 1978. The first game was played on Los Angeles AM, hosted by Sarah Purcell and Regis Philbin. Amazingly, that first game of Shooting Gallery on the Channel F was recorded and can be seen on YouTube. I've put together a short clip of it here. There are a couple of things you might want to watch out for. Firstly, notice how Sarah and Regis are excited and sceptical that the game will work. As Marvin recalls, there were a couple of false starts on previous days because of technical teething problems. And secondly, Sarah uses a stopwatch to time the game. Fairchild hadn't added a timer to Shooting Gallery at this point.
Right.
We've had everybody calling in to test this thing, and they swear that it works.
That it works, for sure.
I'm getting nervous myself, just
Three
fooling around.
people came into the makeup room this morning saying, "It works! It works!" So we're going to find out.
The producer, who knows better, Patioka, says, they say it works. They meaning the engineers. Okay.
The dreaded engineers.
Now, we're going to play this game right now. Now, let me see. You're going to play it, right, Sarah?
Yes,
and
so we have to have a demonstration.
We're going to have a
right?
demonstration. We're going to show you how it works.
Oh, that music makes me nervous.
I'm going to get this organized for you.
Okay, reset.
Press these
twice on the two button.
Yeah, are you ready now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Now, I want you to know at home that in lieu of you pushing this, you're going to say "Powww." And when you say "Powww," you will activate that bullet.
The first idea was to have 5 million of these plungers made.
Yeah.
Then we decided, no, we'll just use the voice.
All right.
All right, here we go. All right.
Say "Powww" too, Sarah.
Powww.
Powww, see?
Powww.
Good, Sarah.
Powww.
Come on. You'd like to go to line 6, is that it? To Orange County. Good morning, Orange County. You're on TV Powww.
Good morning.
Hey.
How are you?
Fine.
You know how to play this game, right?
Yes, hope it works.
Watch the angle of the gun, you know, and then say "Powww" when you want to fire off a bullet.
Okay.
Did you notice how the angle of the trajectory changes?
Yes.
Trajectory.
Did you notice that? No, really,
Yes.
because it does change. When you hit something, then it does change, and you have to allow for that.
Now remember, you have no lines. All you can say is "Powww," because if you say anything else, you'll activate that gun.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
I know that.
All right. here
Okay,
we go.
don't say anything
They're
else but
holding up
"Powww."
little cards
Here
saying...
we go, darling. Good luck.
Here we go.
Pow. Pow. Pow.
It works.
Pow.
It works!
Pow.
I don't believe it.
Pow.
Oh.
Pow.
Oh, 5 seconds.
Pow.
4,
Pow.
3,
Pow.
2, 1.
Pow.
That's it. I'm sorry. She
Lady,
didn't get any.
you were absolutely terrible at
I
that.
know.
So there we go. That first game was a bust. The unnamed contestant failed to score a hit. As you can see, because the contestants could only shout POW, the games were very simple and only lasted 15 or 30 seconds. Despite this rocky start, TV POW was a hit, and less than a year later over 35 cable companies had syndicated the show. Fairchild continued to adapt new games for TV POW during 1978. In addition to Shooting Gallery, we can find videos of baseball, bowling and quadradoodle being used on YouTube. And the Kempner advert to the right here suggests that versions of Dodge It, Maze and Tic-Tac-Toe may also have been in development. All this progress came to a screeching halt at the 1979 Winter CES show, when Fairchild announced to Kempner that they were leaving the video games industry. Whilst Kempner could keep the hardware and software already supplied, Fairchild would not manufacture more. Suddenly, 1979 became a transition year. At the same show that Fairchild dropped their bombshell on Kempner, Mattel launched the Intellivision to the public. Marvin saw the Intellivision on the Mattel stand and was blown away by it. After the show, he pitched TV POW to Mattel and a deal was struck. Like Fairchild, Mattel would supply Kempner with consoles and adapted software for TV POW. In turn, Mattel then subcontracted development of the TV POW titles to APH. Over the next 5 years, more than 15 games were slated for TV POW use. We can see 5 of these in TV POW recordings on YouTube. These include examples of never-released versions of Las Vegas Slots, Soccer, and single-player Sharpshot style Space Battle. Here's a short montage of these games.
Quarterback to throw the ball.
Okay.
All right, let's try it. Go ahead, Vito.
Pow.
Good job. Oh, but you missed. Okay, try again there. Come on, Gooby.
Pow.
Ooh, just almost. Try it again. Got 21 seconds left.
Pow.
That's the way to start. Yes, get those big ones too. They count just as much now. Yes, great there. Ooh, good. Get that one. Oh, yes, there you go.
$20. Everybody will also win a Ranger Bob Cup and tickets to Olympic Park. Every afternoon we put 2 buckaroos on the phone together and let them battle it out. Don't miss the excitement. Speed Racer, the Little Rascals, and 2-player Power weekday afternoons at 4.
Pow. 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 Pow.
Oh, close. Do it one more time.
Pow. Pow. Pow.
You got $20?
The switch to Intellivision worked well, and TV POW continued to grow. At its peak, it had over 100 syndicates. The show was sold internationally, and it was broadcast in Australia, Brazil, Italy, the Philippines, and the UK. TV POW went on to outlast both Fairchild and Mattel's interest in the games industry. It was successful through the mid-1980s, but faded in the NES Master System era when Nintendo and Sega didn't pick up the format. The program continued to use Intellivision while it was shown in Brazil in the late 1980s. It really does seem that South America is where everything Intellivision goes to die. So how did TV POW work? Physically, the system was essentially a rack-mounted video game console, as you can see in the Kempner marketing document on the right. This would have been installed in the studio control room. We don't know too much about its internals, but probably the most significant hardware modification to the console will have been the addition of a component or composite video and audio output suitable for broadcast use. Overall, the system must also have had electronics to connect a telephone or microphone input to a controller fire button. Presumably there was a version of the system that had 2 audio inputs, as we have the video I showed earlier advertising 2-player Space Battle. We know that the contestant's input was fed through to an Intellivision action button because the APH diagram below details the standard controls for TV Powww games. This includes using the disk to start the game and the action buttons for Powww. The TV Powww games were distributed as EPROMs on development T-carts. The pictures at the bottom are from Papa Intellivision, and despite what's written on the cartridge labels, they show the only two TV Powww games now known to exist. One is believed to contain the Sharpshot version of football, also known as K-Foot, and the other is one of the two Space Battle variants. Within APH, TV Powww game variants seem to have used this K prefix as a naming convention in reference to Kempner. Finally, there was a prop console for use on the studio floor, as shown on the right. It's not clear whether this was just a shell or whether its controllers were wired to the console back in the control room. Certainly there seems to be a lack of a power cable here. However, in videos we can see the presenters fiddling with the console in a plausible way. Of course, the elephant in the room is, did TV Powww really have voice recognition? On one side there are naysayers who worked at TV stations and recount people sitting in the control room pressing buttons when the contestant shouted Powww. And on the other side there are believers, including Marvin Kempner and people like me. The arguments put forward by both sides are pretty clear. The doubters cite personal experience and rightly say that reliable voice recognition was a technical impossibility in the 1970s. They suggest it was easier, cheaper and just more reliable for a person to press fire. They also point to instances where videos show shots being fired without the contestant saying Powww. The believers note that sound activation doesn't require voice recognition. They point to TV Powww marketing material, a Fairchild patent, and highlight that Kempner went on to develop and market other voice-activated products. Finally, whilst there are examples of shots being fired without the contestant saying Powww, there always seems to be some background noise present when this happens. Let me show you some evidence and see if I can convince you. In this first clip, we see TV Powww being used at a live event at the North Carolina State Fair. Notice how when the host talks to the audience, he uses a single mic with a windshield.
Yeah, give him a hand there. Take yourself about here, Pat.
Feel more like the unincredible Hulk.
You look like it, too.
Wait a minute.
Look out, dear.
What do you mean?
Now, when they're actually playing the game, you'll see that two mics are shoved under the child's nose. And finally, when the game is over, the presenter places the second mic, the one without the windshield, down on the video game console.
Go get him, guy. Pow! Oh! Out of time. Give him a round of applause there. 2 out of 26.
You want a t-shirt?
And he wins and I turn Barney on t-shirt. Listen.
It seems pretty evident that the second mic is being used for game input. In this second clip, from later at the same event, we see Danielle playing. Initially, her POWs are clear and the game responds really well, as you can see in the monitor behind her.
Pow! Yes. Pow! Oh, a near miss. Yeah. Pow! Yeah. Pow! Now.
But later she starts to lengthen her POWs, and when she does, we seem to get 2 shots rather than 1. Surely a human pressing fire wouldn't do this.
Pow! Now. Pow! Good shot there. Pow! Yeah. Pow! Whoa. Pow! A little later. Pow! Wait a little longer. Pow! A little longer. Pow! All right, caught a corner of that one.
And later again, she dissolves into laughter, at which point the game goes into auto fire.
Pow! Yeah. Pooh. 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 All right. That's all right. Give her a...
I think that this is pretty clear evidence that the shots are being triggered by an audio switch. Not a Siri-like voice recognition, but something much simpler that's triggered by the volume of the sound. Now these videos clearly don't support the idea that TV Powww used voice activation at every installation or at all times. Unfortunately, we don't have equivalent evidence for the use of the Intellivision flavour of TV Pow, or for its use in the studio. You might rightly ask, if voice activation is so simple, then what's all the fuss and patents about? And this is one of the interesting things. Kempner didn't file a patent for TV Pow, Fairchild did, and the only relevant Fairchild patent is not to do with voice recognition or even sound activation. It covers the show's hosts coaching contestants. If we look at a simplified view of the phone call between the host and the contestant, it consists of two sets of cross-connected microphones and speakers. The sound picked up by each mic is sent to the speaker at the other end of the call, and this is called the main tone of the conversation. Now, what you may not know is that in analog phones, a little bit of this sound is also fed into the earpiece of the local handset by the phone itself. This is called the side tone, and it was done to help people moderate the volume of their speech by providing some feedback. Now, having been mixed in with the incoming main tone within the phone's earpiece, the side tone is also effectively transmitted backwards down the line to the microphone at the far end. On a normal phone, this doesn't cause a problem. However, I suspect you can see where this is going. If we have TV Pow listening in on the call, it's going to hear the presenter's side tone as well as the contestant's main tone, and this additional side tone will also trigger shots. What we need is a clever piece of kit that will let the contestant's main tone through to TV Pow, but filter out the presenter's side tone, and it's this that the patent covers. So the main technical development in TV Pow was a new way to filter out the side tone signal from a phone. This wasn't a new idea, there were loads of other side tone removal methods, but it was designed for use in a TV studio. However, and this is the key point, if TV Pow wasn't listening in on the call, and it wasn't triggered by sound, then the presenter's side tone would not have been a problem, and the patented technology would not have been required. So, as I hope I've shown, TV Pow voice activation almost certainly existed, and at its heart it could have been based on a relatively simple sound switch. And that brings us full circle to the demo I started this talk with. What we have here is a simple sound activated switch, which is wired to a controller connector plugged into my Super Video Arcade. When the mic picks up enough sound, it closes the switch and effectively presses a controller action button. Because this circuit is just hooked up to a regular controller connector, it will work perfectly well with the Intellivision 2 or an Intellivision 1 with an ECS. And it's also compatible with the other TV Pow games that Mattel released on Sharpshot. I've also put together a ROM that mimics the 3 unreleased Intellivision games we see on YouTube. So that's Single Player Soccer, Las Vegas Slots and Single Player Space Battle. Let's start by taking a look at slots. The player gets 3 or 5 spins to win as much money as possible. Letters score $5 and cherries score $2. After the host starts the reel spinning, the contestant shouts POW to stop each one in turn. But don't wait too long, as they will stop automatically after 4 seconds.
Pow, pow, pow. Pow, pow, pow. Pow, pow, pow.
The single-player version of K-Space is interesting because it's a hybrid of other versions. It has some of the large wheeling ships from the original Space Battle and includes a new Battlestar design. It's not clear to me why you would be shooting at a Battlestar rather than Cylons, but what do I know? The ships follow one of 8 fixed movement patterns like the game in Sharpshot, but there are only ever 3 Cylons on screen at any one time, like the original Space Battle. This is probably linked to the use of the large 2-sprite spaceship graphics. Unlike the other Space Battle variants, it's not possible to kill more than one enemy ship with a single shot. This is perhaps the biggest disappointment in the game, as chaining explosions to kill multiple Cylons is one of the most satisfying aspects of other versions.
Pow! 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 Pow!
Finally, we have soccer. This was probably the most difficult game to put together because we have only one ropey video from Brazil showing it. However, it seems to be very similar to single-player football. Thread your shots through the defenders to score. In practice, it proves to be quite hard.
Pow! 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 Pow!
Anyway, back to the hardware. Because the microphone circuit is wired up to a controller action button, we can still provide input using the other controller. Now, if this was how the original TV Pow worked, it would have been possible for someone in the control room to be in the loop, firing shots if there were technical problems, or if they just felt bored. I hope this demonstrates that a voice-activated TV Pow was possible, and it wasn't necessarily that complicated. Instead, it was the fact that the contestant was calling in using a phone, rather than being in the studio, and the need to get broadcast quality audio and video out of the console that introduced complexities to the system. Again, this doesn't mean that voice activation was used everywhere, or all the time. There are videos where background noise seems to make the system unreliable, and a human would clearly do a better job. But, given how TV Pow seems to have been implemented, perhaps both the doubters and the believers were correct, at one time or another.
So there we go, a short summary of my research into TV Pow. If you fancy building your own TV Pow replica, I'll publish the circuit and ROM on Atari Age. If you can read a simple circuit diagram and you know which end of a soldering iron to hold, you shouldn't have any problems putting it together. I think all that remains is for me to thank you for your time and also to thank Rev and the team for organising today's event. Cheers.
Hi everybody, Decle here. I thought I might give you a quick look at my new game, XOR, to show you how it's coming along. If you've not seen it before, XOR is a maze-based puzzle game. I'd describe it as a thinking man's Boulder Dash. There are mazes, obstructions and things to collect, but there's no random behaviour and no need for quick reactions, just careful planning and puzzle solving. The game was originally written for the BBC Micro back in 1987, and it was later ported to the Commodore 64, Amiga, Atari ST and Sinclair Spectrum. I'm very pleased to say that the original authors have given their blessing to the Intellivision port, and Intellivision Revolution is going to publish a boxed version in 2021. We're playing through the third level here. You guide 2 explorers, represented by shields, through XOR's mazes, picking up masks. We can see how many masks we have left to find over on the right. Currently, it stands at 95. Once we've got them all, we can make our way to the exit to complete the level. We can also pick up map pieces that show us the layout of the maze at the bottom right of the screen. The map also shows us where the remaining masks are to be found. Below the mask count is the time we have to complete the level. Each move we make costs 1 unit of time. More than 1900 moves are remaining. Sounds pretty easy, no? Well, as you can see, XOR has populated his mazes with objects that fall or run at you or explode, and he's a crafty devil. Let's look at this little puzzle as an example. If we take the left mask first and then the right one, we're left with a problem. If we now move left, the ducks to our right will run at us and crush us against the wall. Okay, let's use one of our 5 mulligans to undo 10 moves and get back to where we were. Right, but if we move up, we also die, because the ducks run left, releasing the fish, which falls down, releasing the final duck, which kills us, like this. Not so simple. Okay, Groundhog Day again. Only 3 mulligans left now. So it looks like we have to take the right hand mask first. And having done so, we must move up, not left, which releases the ducks. But the second duck still prevents the fish from falling and we're safe. We still can't take the second mask. Instead, we must first push the final duck down to make a stack of 3. Now, when we take the second mask, the ducks won't crush us. Job's a good one. As I said, not so easy, but I think it gives you a flavour of the game. As you can see, I think XOR's coming along pretty well. We have the core mechanics and about half the levels sorted out. At the moment, we're working hard to finish off the levels and test the game. If everything goes well, XOR will have over 30 levels containing hundreds of puzzles when it's released next year. So, if you like a challenging puzzler, you might want to save a bit of your hobby money for Rev and the new year.